Hey there, interwebs, and welcome back to Flagshaming. We're finally making it to the West Coast today, and the East Coast, and the dead center of the country. This episode's gonna be all over the damn shop, so let's get it started. Number 31, California. Cali, you were so close. You've got bold colors and strong symbolism, and then you had to go and ruin it all by writing your damn name on the thing. Shame! The bear is the California grizzly, which was hunted to extinction in the early 1920s, but continues to be a Californian icon. The original bear flag was designed in 1846 and used for the Bear Flag Revolt and the ensuing California Republic, which was never an officially recognized state and lasted less than a month. The red star comes from the Lone Star flag of the 1836 rebellion a decade earlier, where Alta California unsuccessfully declared independence from Mexico. This flag makes heavy use of the color brown, but I've always believed that brown never looks good on flags. It lacks the luster of many other colors and isn't sleek like pure black. I really wanted a good reason to make the bear in my redesign black, and not just because I support more black flags. I even considered saying it was because the bear was in mourning, since its species is extinct. For now. It has been considered for de-extinction, both by reintroduction of related grizzlies to the area, and by cloning and genetic engineering. Ultimately, I just couldn't make it black for one simple reason. Black bears are their own group, and grizzlies aren't in it. In the end, I just removed the words and made the bear larger and simpler. Number 32. Minnesota. We've got another seal on a sheet. Sorta. See, this isn't actually Minnesota's state seal. They simplified it for the flag, and yes, this really is the simplified version. Unfortunately, they got the worst of both worlds with this design. The seal is still too complicated to look good on a flag, and it's missing the details that make the official seal look nice. Ironically, they would have been better off using their actual seal on a bedsheet. Shame! The seal on the sheet depicts a farmer plowing his field as his gun and powder horn rest on a nearby stump, representing agriculture and the state's logging industry as a Native American rides by in the background. The river and waterfall symbolize the Mississippi River and St. Anthony Falls, and the three pine trees in the background symbolize the pine regions of St. Croix, the Mississippi River, and Lake Superior. Above is a ribbon with the state motto, L'Étoile du Nord, French for the Star of the North, because Minnesota actually contains the northernmost point in the contiguous United States due to a quirk of some legal wording leading to the northwest angle, which is the only point in the U.S. north of the 49th parallel. The 3 years around it, 1819, 1858, and 1893, are the years of the founding of Fort Snelling, Minnesota gaining statehood, and the adoption of the state flag, respectively. Its wreath is the state flower, pink and white lady's slipper, and around that are 19 stars because Minnesota was the 19th state to join after the original 13. Bluefield, -1. And also it says Minnesota. This is terrible and nobody likes it. Reverend William Becker and Lee Harold proposed an alternative design in 1989 known as the North Star flag. The star is the Star of the North, and the gold represents the state's natural wealth. The blue background represents Minnesota's lakes and rivers, the green represents farmland and forests, and the white represents winter. This sadly wasn't adopted, and a new petition was started in 2017 to change the horrible flag, saying the current design's, quote, unoriginality and laziness are shameful, unquote. Here's my attempt. The three white stars stand for the founding of Fort Snelling, Minnesota gaining statehood, and the adoption of their first flag. They're white to evoke snowflakes, and have 6 points each for a total of 18, for the 18 states to join the Union after the original colonies and before Minnesota, which is represented by its own star in gold at the top. These 4 stars are the 4 points of a compass rose, represented by the gold star, and Minnesota gets the North Star since they're the Star of the North. The circular blue badge represents bodies of water because they're also the land of 10,000 lakes, and it has 32 points for the 32nd state overall. The green field represents the forests and farming for the importance of lumber and agriculture in the state's history. If this design doesn't tickle your fancy, I've also made this Nordic Cross design, since Minnesota has the highest population of Scandinavian Americans, over 1.6 million, or just shy of 30% of their total population, and I'll take any excuse I can get to make a Nordic Cross flag. I made this personal flag for my girlfriend, and its design, which I call the Canted Cross, takes inspiration from the flags of England and Sweden, among others. My redesign uses a blue Nordic cross on a white field representing the state's many lakes and waterways and the deep northern snows, respectively. At the center of the cross we have the Star of the North, composed of a 4-pointed star crossed with an 8-pointed star. 4 by 8 is 32 for the 32nd state. The white and gold represent peace and prosperity. Number 33. Oregon. My usual complaint about SOSs is that they all look the same and you can't tell which one belongs to who. Oregon has found a cunning solution to this issue, but this does create a new problem. Wording is hard to read from behind. Oregon has a solution to this problem as well, but they probably stole it from Alabama. This is the back of their flag. Okay, let's get it out of the way, it's a seal on a sheet. Shame! And -2, 1 for each blue field. Their seal has mountains, an elk, a covered wagon, the Pacific Ocean, some boats symbolizing the US and Britain, a sheaf, a plow, a pickaxe, and an eagle because Murica! But what I'm way more interested in is that beaver on the other side. The beaver is the state fish of Oregon. To be specific, it's their state animal, but way back in the 1600s, the Catholic Church decided it was a fish. It came up because good Catholics can't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, but fish aren't meat, and the beaver is a fish because it lives in the water, and according to Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologica, animal classification is based as much on habitat as it is on anatomy. The same officially goes for the capybara and the muskrat. Basically, semi-aquatic rodents aren't made of meat because they live part-time in the water. Excuse me, this seems to have crossed over into How Fascinating. Check that series out if you haven't already. For my redesign, I used a ring of 32 dots for the 32 states preceding Oregon, and the beaver symbolizing Oregon itself. I'd considered doing a ring of 32 stars, but the stars had to be so small that they looked like dots anyway, so I went with the dots. They also form an O for Ohio, just kidding, of course it's for Oregon. The blue stripe along the hoist that takes up a whole fifth of the width represents the mighty Pacific Ocean to the state's western border. I'd also considered making the gold field white and the stars and beaver red to look more American/British, and because I personally consider blue and gold to be the most overused color pairing. This would have made Oregon's flag my first redesign to use more colors than the original flag, but I opted against this look because it was too similar to Mississippi's redesign. Number 34. Kansas. Oh look, another boring blue bedsheet, -1, and the state seal. Shame! But wait, there's more. They also wrote their name on it, and the crest is a sunflower for the Sunflower State. The seal features a rising sun for the east, a wagon train for westward expansion, a steamboat on the river for commerce, a plowman for agriculture, and Native Americans hunting bison. At the top it bears their motto, Ad astra per aspera, to the stars through difficulty, and 34 stars for state number 34. Because 34 stars would be very busy, I reversed the ratio and replaced one sunflower and 34 stars with one star and a sunflower with 34 petals. The sunflower, as the name implies, resembles a sun, representing the east, and the central star inside a ring resembles a spoked wheel, representing the wagon trains of westward expansion. The green and gold represent agricultural wealth and natural beauty. I originally placed the shapes on either side just for balance, but I made them the way they are instead of plain vertical stripes for a few reasons. One is this way they can be a little wider without crowding the central symbol. Kansas's state seal has a theme of east and west with the rising sun and wagon train, and the chevrons here point in the two directions, implying Kansas's central position in the nation. The one along the hoist also resembles a stylized K for Kansas, and the one on the fly points forward to the future, through adversity to the stars. Number 35. West Virginia. I've hiked in the Rocky Mountains and I've backpacked in the Appalachians from the White Mountains in New Hampshire to the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, and there really is something special about West Virginia. Of course, you can't go on long drives without losing radio reception 3 times, and if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, but hey, you take the geologically rough with the smooth. As state sayings go, they've certainly earned theirs by being both wild and wonderful. Their state flag, however, is neither. The closest thing it's got to a wild idea is to put a blue border around that SOS. Shame! I was once informed that West Virginia is so hilly it has no natural lakes. If you see one, it's man-made. This isn't entirely true. They do have one natural lake, Trout Pond, but it's a measly 2 acres, or 0.003 square miles. Because they have almost no natural lakes, I decided to completely omit blue from my design, since it often represents bodies of water. Given that West Virginia was simply Western Virginia for 75 years, I decided to reflect that in the flag by using the same colors as my Virginia redesign, minus the blue. The purple represents the valleys, and the white represents peaks. In addition to evoking Virginia's overturned crown, the gold also forms a W for wild and wonderful. Paired with the valley shape, it forms a WV for West Virginia. That brings us to the end of this video. If you want to discuss my redesigns, there's a subreddit link in the description, as always, along with a link to my Twitter, where I've been known to post other flag content. Next episode is next weekend. How Fascinating comes out on Wednesdays, and this week is no exception. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.